All right, howdy there, cyclocross fans, and welcome to the great state of Texas. We're here now just a week before the national championships down in Austin next weekend, just about 3 hours up the road outside of Dallas in Garland, Texas for the Resolution Cross Cup. Now, in addition to being a great tune-up race for the Nationals next weekend, this event will be the first ever UCI races here in the state of Texas. Now, we have a lot of good riders, not just the elite riders, but some amateurs, everybody making their way down to Austin for next weekend's big show, looking to test their legs, test their equipment here this weekend. On the men's side, we have Jeremy Powers, who's going to be out here this weekend, our defending national champ. Ryan Trebone, after that early season injury, he's been doing some training over the winter. He's going to be here both today and tomorrow. On the women's side, Crystal Anthony coming back from Europe. Mo Bruno Roy is here. Emma White, a very strong young rider, making her first appearance since an injury a few months ago, all the way back at the Rochester race at Ellison Park. So some good fields here, and unexpected to most of us, some really interesting conditions here in Texas with the mud. I think a lot of people, they envisioned coming down to Texas, putting on their dust masks and their short sleeve skin suits. Not at all. It has been in the 30s here all week. The last few days we've been getting a ton of rain, and this course gets chewed up here as the races go on. So we got a lot of mud out there. We got a lot of interesting sections here, just a different style, a different flavor of cross here all around. The community is different. The courses are different, and we're going to go take a look at that now. We had a chance to get some of our cameras on a few of the elite riders earlier. Let's go take a look at this course. Guys, here now with your course preview. We pick things up just past this finish line arch behind me here. Now, riders actually start about 250 meters farther down the pavement here before the arch. Now, even after they cross through the arch, they continue to climb here, still on pavement for another 200 meters or so. So a very long road section to start and finish the lap here. Now, a lot of courses you might think, I don't really love road, but with so much mud out here to clog you down, this section is going to be important, giving riders a chance to get out of the saddle, spin their legs out a bit, and possibly close some of those gaps down that they're not able to do out on course. Picking up now about 25% of the way through your lap, riders make their way off the hillside and into this, the first main feature on course, this giant sand pit here behind me. Now, if you guys have been watching BTB all season long, you know that not all sand pits are created equal, and this one is unique as well. Now, not only is it 100 feet long and very deep sand, but maybe the best part is the volunteer that they have out here in between every single race with the rake, churning things up lap after lap. So no easy rut is going to develop through this thing. It is going to be fresh and sandy for every race, every single lap. This thing's going to be challenging. All right, picking up now about 70% of the way through the course, riders make their way here into the woods. Now, this is going to be the defining feature on the course here in Texas. Now, this thing, not one particular feature here, but the whole wood section is incredibly challenging. There's so many little lumps of dirt here, so many mud sections, so many trees that the riders have to snake up and down and all around. This thing is going to be incredibly technical, maybe not physically challenging. Fitness isn't going to make a huge difference here. But after coming out of this section, riders only have a few more flat sections here down on the lower side of the course, and then ultimately into the finish line for the final time.
This is Pepper Palace Pro Cycling's Christina Gogi Smith. It's Samantha Reynolds.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now to the start line we go. Day number 1 here in Garland, Texas, and this is it. The first actual UCI race here in the great Lone Star State. These are your elite women. Crystal Anthony there in the middle in the orange helmet, and she gets a very good start there into the pedals, but Amanda Miller just on her right shoulder, going to challenge her off the line and onto the dirt here on lap number 1. Now, making your way up this climb, you can see here the conditions are starting to dry out a bit from this morning when we shot that course preview, but still a lot of slimy corners out there, and it is absolutely bogging you down, just grabbing those wheels and sucking them into the earth, as you saw Meredith Miller there really struggling on the climb, and now Crystal Anthony bobbles a bit around that corner, allowing Amanda Miller, the Boulder Cycle Sport rider, to come through on the inside as they approach the sandpit here on lap number 1. Now this thing very deep, it's a straight line, but you can't get too much speed coming into it because it's just on the other end of that very tricky corner there, but Crystal coming off that big European campaign over the holidays with some good fitness. She is right there holding strong now in the silver medal position. Now, Maureen Bruno-Roy, your defending single-speed national champ. She's got a solid bronze medal ride going at this point with Beth Ann Orton just struggling to hold her wheel. But the gaps here, huge already, just on lap number 1, as we see Meredith Miller come through a full minute or so down on those leaders. So not the best start here for your Cross Vegas winner all the way back in September. Feels like so long ago. Tom Parsons here. I mean, Tom, this cyclocross season, it has been so long. September, October, November. By this point in the season, it's really tough to gauge who's played their cards right, who's got fitness left, and who's really just running on fumes at this point.
Yeah, a lot of these riders at this point are they're riding injured and either try to play up those injuries or hide them from their competitors in some cases.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have riders like Meredith Miller that, spent a good chunk of the season, not a good chunk, but with that crash back in Gloucester, as we see a bobble there from Anthony. But riders like Miller actually missed time this season with injury. So yeah, at this point in the season, especially after the holidays where we haven't seen a lot of these women for so long, the ones that didn't go to Europe, many were taking a break. So it's really a progress check here to see how your fitness is the week before the national championships. Now, Crystal Anthony is going to see 3 laps to go here, and she is all alone on the front solo here for the Optum Kelly Benefits rider in the orange helmet. We'll see her teammate coming up later in the men's race, Carrie Werner. Between the two of them, they've had pretty good success this year for that program. It's toned down a bit from years past. They don't have quite as many riders out there, but between Crystal and Carrie, Tom, that sums up the day for Miller, doesn't it?
Yeah, she was also taking abuse from the hecklers there. The Texas hecklers were harsh.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's a totally different scene down here. I mean, cyclocross is cyclocross wherever you go, but it's really interesting to see the different flavor here. I mean, we talked to some of the racers, and they had different perspectives on it, but just, from my point of view, seeing a lot of cross races, it's little things. Just, they have a different style cornering that they do, or they have a little different style heckling, like you brought up, and Mo Bruno-Roy here having a very strong ride. This is great progress for her. Mo's taken sort of a step back this season, not in terms of in fitness, but just in the amount of traveling she's done and in the amount of maybe just in the amount of stress that she's given the season. She's done a lot more New England racing, but I think the fitness, as we see, right in front of us today, it's really paying off. She's riding as well, if not better, than she really ever has.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we do get some moisture, get some rain or snow going into nationals, what she can do.
Yeah, Amanda Miller here, the Boulder Cycle Sport rider. She's been having a great season. A big improvement for her this year as she joined that cyclocross-specific squad. She's been a great road racer for years and years, and she would always show up at 1 or 2 weekends throughout the year and had great success. She would win races, but to see her more regularly this year, to see the skills develop, she's really made a lot of progress. But speaking of making progress, Crystal Anthony coming back from Europe, I mean, you can see the improvement when a rider comes back. Jeremy Duran or these guys that go over for the first time. Crystal does, not the first time, but a trip to Europe, and it really ups your game against this domestic competition.
Yeah, and she really had no trouble coming through that tricky wood section. She made it look easy, but I mean, that's you see a lot of the riders having problems with it.
Yeah, for sure. Mo Bruno-Roy here coming through, well known as, she's almost the Tim Johnson of the women's field. When the day gets muddy and hard, just like everyone thinks of Johnson being good, Mo Bruno is really maybe the strongest mudder, as they say, in all of women's cyclocross. Part of that is she comes from a running background, and so especially looking towards next weekend, if there's a lot of running on that Austin course, look for Mo. I mean, I remember back in, I think it was Providence 2005 or 6, there was a lot of mud and a lot of running that day, and she ran her way onto the podium in the elite race as well as a Masters national championship.
Meredith Miller having to run that section now.
Yeah, Miller just struggling. I mean, I think this is what we're seeing. Some riders just coming off a break here. They haven't raced in 2, 3, 4 weeks, and I think that's what you're seeing with Meredith Miller. Just a little bit of rust in the legs. Hopefully this is just a good rust buster for her, and we see her come back, because she's one of those women that we really expect to be up there contending. Nobody we're expecting to beat Katie Compton, but she's one of those ladies that we're for sure expecting to fight for the podium. But with 1 lap to go, looking extremely fit here with just 1 week out from that big race, is Crystal Anthony as she switchbacks her way up this course. And again, Tom, the conditions here really drying out throughout the day and changing. Everyone you saw out there was on mud tires, though?
Yeah, I think so. And the riders are describing this. It doesn't look that hard, and you might be wondering why these ladies are going that slow. But they said it was like Velcro or a sponge.
Yep, and coming across the line now. There we go. Just about 44 minutes on the clock, and Crystal Anthony, hands up. That's a great UCI win, a great confidence booster for here to start off 2015. So Anthony with the win today. The silver medal ride going to go to Amanda Miller for Boulder Cycle Sport. Not too far, just about a minute back. And then Mo Bruno Roy, Tom, a huge ride for the Massachusetts rider to find her way onto the podium.
Yeah, she's having a great season.
And then Beth Ann Orton going to round out this race. All right, guys, back to the start line we go now for some more racing action. These are your elite men here on Saturday afternoon in Garland, Texas. Kerry Werner there in the orange helmet. Dan Timmerman for Richard Sachs. Ryan Trebone there locked and loaded in the center of your screen. He's coming back with some new fitness, I hear. A rider who had that crash early in the season. He's been doing a lot of training down in Southern California to start off this new year, trying to make a run at the national championships. But as we hit the sand here on lap number 1 with the whole shot, it's going to be Zach McDonald. Trebone is there. Timmerman is there. Kerry Werner with Cody Kaiser on his wheel. Justin Lundeen, Alan Krugoff, Jerome Townsend. Jamie Driscoll actually struggling here really outside the top 10 along with Troy Wells in what is a competitive field, but not a super deep field. You would expect a guy like Driscoll. I know he likes to hang back and start in the 5th to 6th position, but amongst this kind of race, I would have thought he'd be a little farther up there as Alan Krugoff rolls through and we head into the woods here on lap number 1. Tom, this wood section is just awesome on this course, and Zach McDonald really was riding it better than anybody else.
He really was. He was incredibly smooth through there.
I mean, there's really few guys that have the technical bike handling prowess of Zach McDonald. Cody Kaiser is one of them, although we see him here having a fight, a little bit of traffic on this course. Jeremy Powers, another one of those guys who, can make a difference in these sections that aren't really fitness-based, as we said in that course preview, but you can really, if you can slice and dice those corners, you can force a mistake on an opponent and really help eke out, fractions of a second here and there that help these gaps open, as you see here now. Timmerman just about maybe 10 or 15 bike lengths off, but that's going to make all the difference as they hit that long pavement stretch. It's the difference between being able to sit on a wheel and catch a ride up that climb and really having to struggle to close that down. Now Trebone here, a good podium ride for him going right now. He's got Justin Lundeen and Kerry Werner sitting there as well. Kerry probably got some good tips from his teammate Crystal Anthony, who won the elite women's race earlier in the day, but right now everybody is taking advice from Zach McDonald, showing us how it's done. You can see here the course continuing to dry out throughout the day, but that almost makes it sketchier in some sections because you start to believe that you have traction in those few areas in the shade. Yeah, you can see it, Tom, just sliding out here.
You can see Trebone throwing down the outrigger, throwing down the landing gear back there.
Yeah, taking some clinics there from Timmy J maybe on how to work the tripod on the muddy courses. But Zach McDonald, look at him, they're just out of the saddle, an extremely light rider, just sort of floats through the mud there, makes it, I mean, that's what they say, right? Like an expert is someone who just makes it look easy, and Zach McDonald makes this course look easy on a course that is really anything but. You see Driscoll there struggling, Troy Wells back there, Cody Kaiser hanging inside the top 10. So everybody, just like we talked about in the women's race here, really unsure of their fitness. And in this men's race here, I'm trying to think, not many, if any of these guys are coming back from a European campaign. So they're all coming off what's probably been some really great training, but it's just not the same as having successive weekends of racing your legs. There's question marks.
Yeah, we also noticed that this course is that sort of tractor pull sort of course that guys like Lundeen and Trebone excel in. So this hill section is a huge advantage for those guys.
Yeah, Lundeen's people don't talk about him as a great mud rider, but we've seen him on really muddy courses excel and have some great rides. I mean, you've seen it firsthand. Is it his technical skills? Is it just the style of rider?
I think it's a little bit of technical skill, but it's also a lot of just like the low cadence kind of churning sort of riding. Like I've seen Lundeen excel in situations like that in the past many times.
Yeah, and that's a great point too. With mud riding, it's not. And people talk about the bike handling and being able to corner and balance and things like that, but riding the mud also has so much to do with that steady distribution of power and that slower cadence. A lot of times you can't spin 95 RPMs up a muddy climb, or you're just losing that back wheel every time. So you see a guy like Trebone here. He's done well on muddy courses in the past. Lundeen catches a little bit of the course tape there, and that's going to let Trebone Trebone get a gap as they go through the sand. You can see still no defined rut forming in this sand pit. It is still the back wheel flying all over the place every single time through. McDonald clearly with the lead now, but now a bubble. Everybody, I mean, it doesn't matter, the best, the worst bike handler, everybody on this course is finding struggles today. As a first ever UCI race here in Texas, really the first race that Texas has ever put on that's attracted national caliber like this. I mean, I got nothing but good things to say about this course.
Yeah, me too, and any of the riders I talked to as well all love the course. It was really, has a lot of diversity as far as terrain, and it was a great race to watch as well.
Yeah, very cool stuff. And rumor is we might be coming back here next year with a few more UCI races, so big things coming for Texas. That often happens when you see an event like the National Championships come to town. You saw it in Kansas City and Madison and Bend. It really helps boost that whole region in terms of everyone's excitement around cyclocross. Now, Justin Lindeen looking like he's trying to get on top of that gear, digging and trying to close that gap down. He's a kind of like a Jamie Driscoll a little bit. He's a strong, very strong finisher, not maybe as slow of a starter as Driscoll is. And you see today Driscoll completely out of our picture here. So he's riding somewhere back, still inside the top 10, but I think we talked to him before the race, and he had some trouble getting here actually in terms of flights being canceled, and I think he actually just flew in this afternoon. So tough day for Driscoll trying to make do with what he has. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh yeah, Lindy's actually come by Trebone there. He's closing down on Timmerman now.
Now look at this. We're going to come into the finish line. How far up is Lindeen going to get? He's not going to get McDonald, though. Zach McDonald riding for CX Project 2015, the local club out of Austin, Texas, promoting junior cyclocross. So he takes the win here in front of some very enthusiastic Texas fans. Justin Lindeen, though, man, what a finish for him, closing all the way back outside the podium, rides his way into second. Dan Timmerman, Richard Sachs going to be your bronze medal ride on the day, and then Ryan Trebone showing very positive signs here in 2015. The fitness is back, a strong fourth place ride for him. And then Kerry Werner coming here with the orange helmet, the Optum Kelly Benefits strategy rider. Solid day inside the top 5. All right, Dan Timmerman, you had second there for most of the day. We thought maybe you'd even get first. Zach McDonald, a guy who is not unfamiliar with fading towards the end of the race, but then things all changed on that last lap. Tell me about it.
Well, I'm also not unfamiliar with fading at the end of the race, and I beat him at that. Yeah, I don't know. Justin just put in an incredible lap, and I was fading a little bit, and he got me, and Zach just held it. So just couldn't do anything about it.
Tell me about this trip down to Texas. What were you expecting? What was the goal for this weekend, with obviously Nationals next weekend being the big goal for everybody?
Well, at the end of the season for me, it was a little bit slow. I was starting to fade, so I've been down in Arizona putting in some base and trying to get back on my feet. And, I was not expecting the conditions or the great course today, but, it's awesome. I was expecting kind of a grass crit, and it's anything but. So it's great. I'm looking good for Nationals.
All right. See you tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right. Nice job.
Thanks.
Justin Lindeen, welcome to Texas, and welcome back to the podium. That was a great ride for you.
Thanks. Yeah, I was pretty psyched with it. I didn't know what to expect. It's been a while since Warwick and the last time I raced. So yeah, coming down here to have a muddy race wasn't really what I was expecting either. So I was psyched. It was a good challenging course, and yeah, I put in a big surge in the last lap that I wasn't knowing I could do either. So it was all around unexpected sort of day.
You've had some good results at Nationals over the last few years, some stars and stripes obviously on your jersey from the Masters race. Tell me about, is this time of year just good for your fitness? Have you been putting a lot of emphasis on it throughout the season?
Yeah, there's that weird lull in between the last race that you do and then Nationals, and I think it's a challenge for everybody to try to stay focused and deal with weather and training and trying to stay fit for early January race. I self-motivate pretty well for a goal like that. So yeah, I think it works out, but you never know. You come, like I said, I haven't raced in a few weeks, and so you just you hope it's going to work out. I think my form's all right, so maybe it'll work out next weekend. I like the cold weather and stuff like that. So
a lot of guys only racing one day this weekend. Tell me about, coming out to tomorrow, there'll be some fresh guys out there. Do you hold anything back for Nationals? Do you go just as hard?
No, for me, I like using the races as training, and and building up until the last possible second. So no, I put it all in today, and whatever I have left, I'll put all in tomorrow and see how it goes. I'm even doing the single speed race on Wednesday, so what the heck.
Nice. Congratulations, man.
Thanks, Cole.
Zach McDonald in the Texas colors in Texas on the top step of the podium, man. That's a big ride for you. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to be kind of back towards the front of the race, and it was one of those courses where I'm a lot more comfortable kind of on the front maintaining my own pace and trying to maintain the gap versus chasing. So I felt pretty good on the first lap, and just wanted to get in a couple of the technical sections first. So I kind of surged past Timmerman and Trebone, and then just kind of got a little bit gap and tried to maintain it from there. And I didn't really know what was going to happen, and came around and it said 5 laps to go, and I did the math. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be a 65-minute race. So that was a little bit worrying. So I just kind of settled in, maintained the gap, and I mean I was definitely going hard, but definitely trying to leap some speed on the table, and just having the backing of all the Austin crowd and racing for this CX Project 2015 team. It's just fantastic. I mean, it's a great organization to be riding for, and they really stepped up big this year, kind of mid-season, to help me out and get me out to the rest of the races. So the Streamline Insurance guys, Source Endurance, and Cyclers Project 2015 really helped out there. Source Endurance got me out to kind of training camp down in San Diego, which all added up to me being able to ride well here. So hopefully, see what happens tomorrow. I might be a little burnt after today, spending a lot of time on the rivet, but it was nice to actually ride that 60 minutes and be able to keep the gap for it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a surprise for you to hear this, but you've earned a reputation as a guy who can fade in races. And I think part of that is sometimes you're almost training in races by going out above where you know you can sustain. But tell me about today. I mean, how much of that was going through your head, and how valid is that concern when people see you out front and they say, oh, McDonald, you don't have to worry about him as much?
Well, statistically, I think that's a very reasonable conclusion to make. I mean, a lot of it's been like last year I was dealing with injuries coming into the season, and then I got sick for the second half of the season, so I was just never on form, and so I was always been a good starter, and it's one of those things you're coming off that year before that when I was in close to the front group. I was kind of, I guess, dangling right off that front group, and you get so used to being up there and starting fast and starting with those guys that it's hard to be able to limit yourself off the line. And yeah, so it's one of those things that you kind of like face from a training standpoint. It's like, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to see if I can maintain it, and I'll stick with the group or not, and if not, I'll fade and then try to recover by the end of the race. But a course like this allows me to ride at my own pace, and you can kind of flow the corners on these courses and maintain a constant speed, which is really good for me. And when I can get out front, that's something I really like. Even though Timmerman was definitely putting the pressure on the whole race. One of the laps I bobbled a couple times and he closed the gap, and I mean, what I was terrified of him getting that like extra momentum to see that gap close and get that adrenaline coming after me. So I had to put a really good dig in. And then last lap with Lindeen put in a super fast last lap to catch Timmerman and get close to me. And so I mean, it's one of those things the whole race I was worried about fading. I still don't have the confidence to maintain 65 minutes. So it's just kind of maintain, and see what happens. And part of me was waiting for an explosion. It just never happened. So I'm really stoked on that, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. And hopefully Jeremy will come out one of these days. But I heard he's been sick, so I don't really blame him for not racing. I think everyone else in his shoes, even though I was going to give him some crap, everyone in his shoes would do the exact same thing. So it's no one's blaming him for that. But I don't know. See what happens next weekend, and hopefully it doesn't stay bone dry. Get some weather in there for fun.
Cool. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys, and that is a wrap on day number 1 of racing here at the Resolution Cross Cup, the first ever day of UCI racing here in North Texas, just outside of Dallas. And this was an awesome race. I don't know what you guys were expecting, but I definitely wasn't expecting a seriously muddy, seriously cyclocross-esque race here to kick off the new year. I think a lot of people were packing their dry tires, their short sleeve skin suits, but this thing got really muddy and really fun really quick. In the women's race, we had some awesome racing. Crystal Anthony back from Europe, clearly on some great form. I think a lot of people were worried. I mean, everybody coming into this, it's either they're coming straight home from Europe and you think they might be tired, or they haven't raced in 4 or 5 weeks and they're just coming off training. So it was great to see Crystal really deliver. On the other hand, some women like Meredith Miller really struggling today. On the men's side, it was Zach McDonald with the strong start and holding on all day long. Dan Timmerman was there. Justin Lindeen looking very, very good as he goes into the national championships. Look for him in that single speed race like he talked about on Wednesday. But tomorrow, guys, tomorrow is going to be even better. Now, the mud is going to dry up just a bit, but this course is still going to be very hard, and we will have the addition of some very strong names. That Jam Fund crew is going to be here. Jeremy Powers will be here in the men's race. A few other women, I think, will be here as well. So thank you guys for joining us. Stay tuned here all week. We're going into nationals. We're going to have full coverage from today, obviously, tomorrow, and then next weekend we're going to be able to tune in live. So go ahead, put that on your calendar right now. I'm Cole McElwain for the rest of BehindTheBarriers.tv. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.